Hi everybody, bonjour. This is Sue with Sue is Retiring to France on a Shoestring. And today I want to talk about an extremely important element in retiring to France long term. And that's how to better your chances in securing a lease, especially if you're looking to rent an unfurnished home or apartment. So let's just say home to make it easier, dwelling or home. In brief, a typical lease in France for an unfurnished home can run 3 years. Unlike in the US, in France, if a tenant decides that after a month or more that the home is just not right for them, maybe it's the wrong location, maybe there's loud street noise that they did not anticipate, or other factors, they can provide notice to the landlord and exit the lease and move to someplace else. In this regard, French property laws favor the tenant and not the landlord, which is the extreme opposite of the United States. It's a very difficult and lengthy process for a French landlord to evict a tenant for non-payment of rent. And what property owner wants to be holding the bag on a property that is rentable, but they can't do anything about it because they can't evict the tenant and they're not collecting any rent? So I can understand where there is some hesitation because of the differences in real estate law. Also, quite understandably, the prospect of renting property to an immigrant that is not coming over on a work visa or is not a French national that already has a job and is easy to prove their worth as a tenant is probably somewhat unnerving. Despite the proof of financials and all the other documentation that one needs to provide to France to prove that you are worthy of a long stay visa, it's a gamble that may make some homes out of reach. One option for those who are lucky enough to have the connection is to have a family member or friend or possibly employer in France guarantee that you are good for your word and that you have a solid financial footing to ease a future landlord's worries. But for most of us that are coming across the pond, that's just not possible. But there is another path to get that leg up, and that is to contract with a guarantee service for an annual fee. In doing my research on this, I found 3 services, and there possibly are more, but the 3 that I found are, number 1, a company called Visal, and they tend to specialize in students that are between the years of 18 to 30 and people who are over the age of 30 who are working full-time and can prove that they have an employment contract. The other 2 are Smart Garant and Garant Me. And so I'm going to switch over to do a screen share and show you information about those 2 services, and then we'll pop back here. The first website we'll look at is called Smart Garant, and when you load the page, it will initially load in French, and then chances are it will automatically convert to English. If not, you can always make those settings in your toolbar. And it starts at the tenant page, which would be you or me, but it also has tabs for landlord, for an agency, perhaps if they are working with a landlord, partners, sponsors. It has a help section. If you've already put in your information, you can log in, or if you are coming back to add more information to a file that you've already started, then you can submit your file. But we're going to go back to the home page, which is the tenant page. And what I think is really fantastic here is that you can go down the page and it gives you pretty much the information that you need to know. But then you can also go in and create a scenario of how much you want to spend per month. So in this example, it is already pre-populated with 800 euros per month. And this is actually the cost that would be the annual cost for you to pay to Smart Garant for them to basically put their mouth behind your money, I guess is the way to say that. And you can move this around. Say, for example, you want to up that to 1,200 euros per month, then it would cost you 619. Maybe you don't want to do that much. You only want to do 400. So you can easily see, just by going up and down the sliding scale, how much it's going to cost you annually. It is renewable each year. So if you have a 1-year lease, obviously it would only be for 1 year. If you have a 3-year lease, then you would be securing this for the full 3 years. The other thing that I enjoy here is that if your lease is less than 12 months, the offer will be adapted. So again, it's very, very fluid and very flexible. The next site we'll pull up is called Guarantor, and it works very similarly as the Smart Garant website. It does have tabs up at the top for different sections that you want to go to, and you can either select the price up at the top on a tab or scroll down to the bottom. As you can see, it takes you down there to get to a very similar calculator. You can see here the total price if we were to put in our hypothetical 800 euros per month rent of $432 euro per year that you would pay for the guarantee. And if we flip it back to Smart Garant, we can see that it's less expensive. It's $413 per year for the guarantee. Now I'm going to go back to Guarantor because I already have filled out a file with them. I've submitted all my paperwork. I have gotten approved by them. So I know that at the very least, when I do find a long-term lease, that I will be able to use Guarantor. Now I will also be filling out a file with Smart Garant just to be safe. There's no reason not to, because it doesn't cost you anything at this point. You only pay as soon as you have a potential lease that you are interested in signing. So I'm going to hit the sign up button because they don't have a direct log me in link. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And here I am. It takes me to my splash page, I guess I would say. I don't have anything pending at this time because I don't have any leases that I am looking at. But if I have a lease, a potential lease, I can go ahead and I can upload it here to get my guarantee. For support for my application, there is a section here if you need support or follow-up. I can estimate my price. In this case, I put in 950 euros, and so the Guarantor pack will cost me approximately 513 euros per year. I doubt that I'm going to be paying a long-term lease that is that high. But just in case, I wanted to make sure I had a very high number in there to get approved. And then you can go to your account and it can see that I am certified. This is the first city that I am moving to. And then it has sections for housing insurance, billing information, and account settings, which I have not filled in yet. So you can see that it's relatively easy to find the information that you need in order to navigate the website. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of that. And I'm back. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of some information about possibilities of enhancing your capability to find long-term rentals in France. I'm very happy about it. It gives me a little bit more of a peace of mind, not knowing so much of what's going to be happening after my first couple of months staying in an Airbnb. I hope this was helpful. If you're so inclined, I would love it if you would like and or subscribe if you get any value out of this. Please share it with people if you know others who are starting to think about the move to France and are going to be renting long term, even if the long term is only for a year, which again, I'm not going to be purchasing property. But the recommendation from most of the experts that I see out there and from people who have done it themselves is to rent for a minimum of 6 months before you decide to plunk down money on a home, unless you've already purchased one and you have a second home in France already. Then none of this applies. But this can also be helpful if somebody just wants that extra bit of assurance that they will be able to rent the place that they would like to rent and not perhaps get stuck into something that isn't exactly what they were dreaming of in their bigger dream of moving to France. And for now, I will beg off. It is the middle of the afternoon. It is very cold here today after being extremely warm a couple of days ago. It is time to take the dogs out for a walk. So bonjour, bonsoir, bonne nuit, or bon matin if it's the morning wherever you are. and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Take care. Au revoir.